Welcome to Logos Bible Software Tutorials, and today we are going to dive deep into this AI, what it does, what its power is, and all. I'm just going to start with, and I already got some stuff here that we are already going to search, and so the way you bring up Logos's AI is you're just going to make sure that all is selected, because if you do Bible or this, it's not going to bring it up. So you have this, and you're just going to do your simple search. I want to search. I got some searches here where I want to search this. And I asked the question, what is the difference and similarities between the FCF and the big idea? Now I'm going to search. It's going to bring up a big search, and I want to click on the synopsis. I'm going to go here and continue in Study Assistant. And it's going to bring up my Study Assistant here. You can also do, if I type in Study Assistant, I can also go straight to the Study Assistant when I go into Tools. So Tools, it's going to be here. So those are two ways that you can get to the Study Assistant. And it goes in and it tells me what it is and so it's going to point me to my resources. It's going to tell me exactly what is the differences and similarities of the fallen condition focus and the big idea. I want to point some things out to you that is important. First, this is going to be based on your books. You have two things that you can choose from: all books or just your books. So there may be something. So if I was to search all books, and I'm going to search this, and I'm just going to click and copy, and I'm just going to paste this here, and it's going to go into all books. Well, what it's going to do now is it's going to search all books in that Logos has, and it's going to come up with something. So some of these books I may have, some of these I don't. But it's definitely, so these are coming in and it's pulling up. So some of these resources I do not have. So in order for me to see what's there, I have to buy the book. I would not be surprised is if Logos later on down the road has a feature where you can filter this by the collection. I would not be surprised at all. Here, you can zoom up here, and a lot of the same things that we have here open as a floating window. One of the limitations of the Study Assistant is that it doesn't save it. It does not save it. Now you have the option to take it here and it copies it. And you can later on put into a note. I wouldn't be surprised if later on Logos Bible Software takes your search result from the Study Assistant and it puts it into a note file. That would not be surprised. Now over here that you have a new, I can do a new Study Assistant. So let me also point out that the power of the Study Assistant is going to be limited to your resources. It's pulling from your books. So if you have a question that your books do not really cover, that's where I think that you need to go into the all books. So just keep that in mind that that this is a limitation of it's great. I think that it's got great possibilities, and it's going to point you directly to your books. It's going to be a great resource tool, but it's still in its infancy stage. So I wanted to also compare how does the search results that come up from Logos Bible software compare to the going to ChatGPT and see what it does. It gives you a really it doesn't give you as much information as the Logos Bible software does. Now, I really do not use a ChatGPT for a whole lot of research stuff. I'm going to show you how I do use it, but that's not one of them. So if I was to go into Perplexity, which is what I use for more research, so it's going to pull from the online resources, and you are also limited by, so it's going to pull from online resources that are available in the public domain. That's not good or bad. Well, it can be bad because it can be pulling from resources that you may not agree with. But it does give a information here about how they are similar and how they are different. Now we're going to go into Gemini. We're going to paste the same thing here, and it's going to bring up. See, so it brought up something from the whole big business. So if I'm going to ask this question to Gemini, I have to specify. So now that it can start to get into it. Now, this also doesn't necessarily. So, once again, these are pulling from online resources. If I were to come here and I were to say, oh, okay, so it's got this one right here on the following condition focus, placed by crew, and I don't even know what crew is. I really don't use online resource. So yeah, it's pulling from this resource here. It's pulling from online resources. Just keep that in mind that these are pulling from online, probably blogs, even some may have older journal articles, but it's pulling from things that are available within the public domain. Now, I've got some other questions that I want to ask. So, and the best way to use Logos Bible software is to help you with your studying or to dive deep into other things. So I asked another question. What is the difference from merely translating a biblical passage and using discourse analysis? The great thing about AI is that your grammar doesn't have to be always very good. So I'm going to ask this question here. And then it goes in and tells me that the difference between translating a passage and what is a discourse analysis. And it's going to be pulling from my books. So here's pulling from all books. So I unless you change this. So it's going to, this is a book that I have. Once again, this is a book I don't have. And I'm not going to pay nearly $800 for it either. But this is the full set. So just keep that in mind. You probably want to go more into your books. So we're going to ask the same question here, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to come in here, and let's see what. So it goes into creating a creating an explanation based on the books that I have, and the explanations that it has from my books slightly different than what it has from all books. And the reason this one has more resources than this one here, and it's quite possible that you ask a question that the AI really can't answer because that you don't have the resources that talk about it. If I was to ask this same question to, let's do ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not going to give me a whole lot of information. I mean, it gives me, but this ChatGPT is not. It's not really designed for research. If I was to ask this question to Perplexity, I now is going to pull from a variety of resources. So it's going to be pulling from once again that the AIs are pulling from things in the public domain. That if you get the paid subscription, that it may pull from more stuff. But this gives you a explanation of now when I put it into Gemini. It's got some nice information. It's pulling from this video here by Zondervan, and what's also important to keep in mind, it's pulling from the stuff in the public domain, which could be good, could be bad. Let's go back to our logos here, and we're going to ask it some more questions. What I also recommend for you to do is, if you have a new type of question, I would recommend for you to do the new. So we're going to do a new one, and because it's a whole nother, I'm going to be doing some videos on the historical present. So I want to ask some questions about the historical present, where I'm going to come in here. Boom. So it's going to pull from my books. And it's pulling from everything, and this gives me explanation what is going on syntactically, and gives a cognitive importance of it, and it's going to pull from my books. Now, what's helpful is that I have a lot of books on grammar, so I have a lot of stuff that they can pull. If I was to ask this question in let's say ChatGPT. And I have no idea where ChatGPT is pulling this information. Once again, ChatGPT is not really a resource that you want to use for a sermon. I mean, for these types of questions, it's not really what ChatGPT's strength is. Now, when I ask this to something Perplexity, I come into here. So now it's going to pull from the available online resources. And it's going to give me a basic definition. So he says that Mark uses it whenever that he wants to discuss a new scene or a significant event. He's pulling that from, he's pulling it from this journal article here. So it's back in 2012. And that doesn't mean that this is bad. And I don't really know who the author is. I would have to search. Perplexity is going to pull the stuff from the public domain, which could be good, it could be bad. Let's ask Gemini. What does Gemini say? Oh, and in Gemini, it's pulling from stuff, and we don't necessarily know what are the resources it pulls from. It doesn't point me to any resources. Let me try a whole new one. Yeah, it's the same thing. It doesn't point me to any real resources of where it's pulling it from. So I have no idea how the AI is getting this information. And the more technical that your question is, the more that you're going to need those resources. All right, let's continue on. So since a lot of my questions are geared towards the historical present, I'm going to keep this out. Logo still has some, it's a study assistant, still has its limitation. If I was to ask this question, to say ChatGPT, so it's now pulling from the commentaries. It doesn't tell me which commentaries say what. Just tells me that the information. Now, I would expect Perplexity, if I was to ask this question, if I was to ask Gemini, and it's coming, so it's going to use this resource here. It's going to pull from this right here. This is a general site, and I got a whole bunch of this one here is the New Testament Greek. Yeah, it's pulling from the same place all over again. I know a little bit about the historical present, so I'm going to ask it a very nuanced. So I'm going to ask it this question, and then I'm going to ask it another one. What resources talk about the historical present both in the quantity, number of words, and quality that the cognitive and the linguistic features of the historical present? So I'm being very specific here. So this points me to one of my resources by David Livingston. And he gets into the historical present here and what's going on with the historical present. There's also this resource here, which is it's still from the same one. It's pulling from the resource from David Livingston as well as the Greek verb visit. So these are all the resources that this pulling from. If I was to ask this question in something like ChatGPT, and I think that we have a good understanding of what the ChatGPT does when it comes to research, it's not going to bring up a lot of great information. So it does give me a recommended list. This is in a PDF, journal article in 2001. And then it's asking me, do I want, if I was to go to Perplexity, so this now gives me some information. This one's a blog post. This one right here is because it's the same article that we pulled up before. So once again, it's pulling from the stuff in the public domain. So all of the stuff that it's going to pull from that one, it seems like it's just pulling from the one resource. The stuff from here, again, it doesn't mean it's good or bad, but it does mean that it is a blog post. It is not so much a research, which there's really nothing to keep this person accountable. And I'm not saying that it's bad information. It's just not. It's just not a scholarly research. Moving on. So it gets into that resource. If I go into Gemini, I do the same thing. It's probably going to pull from the same verses that everything else does. But let me reiterate, it's pulling from the same stuff. So they're all pulling from the same stuff, and it's all limited to the public domain. I have a nuanced question. I'm going to ask it. So I would recommend, if you're going to type something, do it first in your note file and then transfer it over. The historical present. Oh. Okay. Here is a more specific question that is going to help to explain more of a nuanced type thing. So here's what I said is that the historical present often is used when recalling the memory as though that they were present in the event. Mark has more usages of the historical present than any other writer, although he is considered a later disciple after Christ's resurrection. What are your thoughts on this? So yeah, it brings up some information that and it's stuff that I want it brought up in his book. Let's I just want to take a look and see what kind of search would pop up off of any books that I do not possess. So this is going to search all books. Hmm. So it was unable to come up with anything. And this is interesting that when I look into all books, but when I look into my books here, was able to pull up a concise um so yeah, it's interesting because when I brought it up here that it brought up there. Let me add a little nuance to it. Could Mark have been a early disciple, but at a distance? So it goes into Mark's gospel. So yeah, this is now if I was to ask this same question to ChatGPT, and so we're going to come over here, and we pretty much have a good idea that I think at this point, ChatGPT is not a good thing for uh, research, i.e., sermon prep. But I don't know where they're pulling this from. So that's the big thing. I don't know where they're pulling this. If I was to ask this to Perplexity, now there's this resource over here, BYU, and this is going to be a more scholarly type thing. Once again, this on the public domain, but this is more a scholarly. If I was to ask the same question to Gemini, so this also gets into this information. Now I got some other things. So how I often use I am the AI for sermon prep is when I need to condense something down because as a general rule for my the titles and my main points, I like 5 words or less. And sometimes I cannot always do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, so I'm going to do the study assistant. And I'm just going to say, hey, I've been through 1:6 to 18. I have a main point in verses 6 through 7. Could you condense it down to 5 words or less? See what it says. So yeah, God's providence guides Naomi's journey. So it can condense words down. So if I was asked same thing to ChatGPT. I'm going to have paste and I'm going to see what it says. So this gives me a variety of options. Let's ask. See what it does. Yeah, same, very similar. Not exactly, and I don't expect it would be. Um, if I was to ask Perplexity, this is where I think that the AIs are most useful. That they help us after we do our work. Yeah, very similar to what the other stuff does. Come into here and see what Gemini says. Yeah, this is more where I use it. So let's go back. So I had another one. I'm going to copy this because I still need to specify what passage I'm going through. Could you condense this to 5 words or less? So I want to do this, and I'm going to copy this. Yeah. So this gives me options for my longer extended title, which can be helpful when naming my main point. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to run this through the other ones and see what they say. I'm going to paste. Very similar. Looking at Perplexity. Yeah. And Naomi. And now Gemini. Let's go back and we're going to see. I have the same thing for 15. I'm going to copy this. And it's in. I always need to specify for an AI. Could you condense in 5 words or less? So I'm going to ask him to condense this in 5 words or less. Mm-hmm. To the various things that Logos AI can do. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is here. So this gives me some options. This is morely what you want to use ChatGPT for. But we're seeing that the same stuff that you do in ChatGPT can also be done in the Logos AI. Now we're going to go into Gemini. Yeah. So let's ask some more things. Here's another one I have. Given these three, how would you craft a title? So I'll use this, something like this, if I need to double check on, hey, here's my title for my sermon or my teaching, and then I just need some ideas for a title. So I put this in, and let's see what he comes up with. Yeah, these are all titles that, based on those three, that can help I guide you. Now, let's say, for instance, now I'm going to ask the same thing for ChatGPT. And it gives a variety of different options. I was asked the same thing to Perplexity. Mhm. If I was to ask Gemini, now let's come back over here. So I have this question. I asked, given what I gave you, come up with a big idea and a FCF. Let's see what it says. So now it's going to pull from my books, and it's going to pull from some stuff. So it's going to pull. So yeah, if I was to ask, so I'm going to ask. So the big idea is God's redemptive love transforms hopeless situations. And the FCF is the text reveals how God refuses to leave his frail and sinful children without guidance, demonstrating that divine solutions, not human efforts, can truly address our brokenness. So I'm going to ask the same question to ChatGPT. God often leads us back through painful places so that he can surround us with unexpected hidden blessings. We, we, we struggle to trust in the FCF. We struggle to trust God's guidance when our circumstances feel bitter, and we often fail to see his greatest blessings may come through people we didn't expect. So, what I use this for is when I already have my big idea and I already have my FCF, is I just want some. I just maybe need some help to make sure that I'm on the right path. Next, I'm going to do the same thing for Perplexity, and it gives me one. It's pulling from a common root. This one, as well as the resource that it has pulled from before. If I was to ask Gemini, it gives me something. All right, moving on. We're gonna ask a question. I said here. is what I came up with as the big idea, FCF, and purpose. What are your thoughts? So what I want to know is his thoughts on what I came up with. So it's now we're working. It's going to give me some insights to what he thought about. It says that my that FCF is particularly strong because it addresses a human need rather than just a sim. And it's going to be pulling from different resources. And it tells me that my purpose statement beautifully captures this principle. I want them to know, often are great. So it gives me, based on how does my big idea and my FCF and my purpose align, and it's pointing me directly to resources. Now, if I was to ask ChatGPT the same, ask the same question here with what and then it just gives me his ideas. So this tells me the critique. Now when I put this into Perplexity, so it tells me on to what I need to improve. I come over here to Gemini. It tells me how I can improve it, what I can do to make it better. So and this is and these were all of things that I had gone through. Now, I also wanted to talk a little bit about Notebook LM. I haven't used it a lot. There are probably people who understand Notebook LM and how does it compare to Logos. And let me here's one that I did, and this is all on a education. This I had written a thesis on and I did a comparative contrast between the difference between accredited seminaries and non-accredited seminaries, and I looked at two. I looked at the RTS and Mintz Miami, the international seminary, and I wanted to compare them. So these are all of the journal articles that I used for that. This is far more of a research tool. So this is not going to be any useful unless that you download the information. As it stands now, it's not fair to compare Logos' AI to this. Although there are some things that are similar, that they are both pulling from specific resources, that the functionality of this far outweighs how Logos is right now. Now, I think there's some areas of improvement that logos can add, in particularly that the mind map, where here that I got this mind map. I think that this can be very helpful in a research and did different areas. But I definitely, I definitely think that this is areas of improvement that, this could definitely, if the logos were to implement this, could be very, very helpful to our study in some way. There's also the video, the overview. That there's also a infographic, which also shows the video as well. These are things that if logos were to put this in, that this would be very helpful with our research. One way that you could use this probably is download the sections of your book into a PDF and do the similar things. But as it stands now, it's not fair to compare Notebook LM and Logos Bible software, because of just the pure the functionality between both. Also, the Logos' AI of the study assistant is still in its infancy stages. So there's going to be more coming as they seek to improve it. Some areas that I think that they can improve it is save the search results, allow the feature to search only certain collections is something I definitely think it needs. And add in some of this here of the flashcards, the quizzes. Now I will say this, is that Logos has a similar feature already when you are doing the Bible study. So when you are creating your own Bible study, so the feature is there. Then that they just need to integrate it. But having the ability to do a mind map, I think would be very, very helpful in the study assistance AI. And in this way, Notebook LM is really nothing like a ChatGPT. It's not like really like a Gemini. It's not like the Perplexity. Meaning that that it really focuses your research to things that you want, and not all over the internet. I hope that was helpful. I know that there was a lot there, but my goal was to help you guys to just to understand what's going on, and how you can use that the Logos AI for your sermon prep and your study. You have a wonderful day.